participated in aborts. So that's an example which was at the starting of the chapter. I haven't covered that. So they're saying apprentices who have participated in Abbott's microelectronics manufacturer apprenticeship program learn to operate and monitor high technology automated equipment, acquired skills to improve process and automation, and enhance their skills in communication, science and mathematics, quality regulations, critical thinking, and problem solving. So at the starting of this chapter, there was a case study which was given about Abbott's microelectronic manufacture and how they conducted apprenticeship programs which help the employees to learn new skill related to high-end technologies, how to operate them, how to improve the processes that are done on those technologies or machineries, which overall led to enhancement in their communication, the science and mathematics behind the using of machinery, how to regulate the quality of products produced, and how to critically think beyond what you are doing, and how to solve a problem as and when it comes about in an organization. So every organization wants its employees to be, involve themselves in frequent learning. They want to learn and acquire new knowledge and skills. Only when they learn and acquire new knowledge and skills, so they can, use that skill in order to improve themselves and improve the overall organization. So what is the outcomes of learning? Learning can be described in terms of domains or outcomes of learning. Now, if I say I have learned something, how will you come to know that I have learned something? Only when I display a kind of behavior, then you will understand that, right, I have learned something. And what is that kind of a behavior? So that behavior is called the learning outcomes, and which will be talked about in figure table 3.4, which will tell us that learning outcomes are categorized into two schemes. So the first one is the scheme of the Robert Gagne, who developed the best known classification of learning outcomes. And according to Gagne, learning outcomes can be classified according to five general categories. Why are they talking about only three? So what they said that when you say that you have learned something, so either you have acquired verbal information, that means you have acquired facts, knowledge, principles, and packages of information, or what is known as declarative knowledge. So when you say you have learned some knowledge about a product, a working, a machinery, or anything in the organization as an employee, that means you have gathered fact about it, any knowledge about it, any principle or any information that is related to it verbally is called verbal information, which is an outcome of learning. Then intellectual skills. These are the concepts, rules, and procedures that are known as procedural knowledge. So procedural rules govern many activities in our daily lives, such as driving an automobile or shopping in a supermarket. So when we develop intellectual skills by learning, that means have understood, we have acquired that skill of how to do it. So when we are just verbally collecting facts and knowledge, so if I have to learn, let's say, how to drive a car, and I learn about the laws, I learn about the rules, I learn about what do I need to do verbally, that's called verbal information. And when I sit down in the car and I start driving and I start, using the information that I gained here, that will be called an intellectual skill. Then we have cognitive strategies. So the cognitive strategies are the application of information and techniques and understanding how and when to use knowledge and information. So now I have gathered the verbal information, then I have learned how to drive a vehicle. Now I will use my mind while I'm driving. So whenever I make use of my mind to use the information I have learned, that kind of learning outcome is known as cognitive strategy. Is that okay? So when learning is the process of acquiring information, and outcomes are either you are learning something verbally, or you're collecting intellectual skills related to that thing you're learning, and then you're using your mind to make that information useful in a way that is useful for the organization. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, learning outcomes can be classified on the basis of two schemes. So, one was Gagini's classification scheme, and the other one was Krieger, Ford, and Salis classification scheme. So, on the basis of Gagini's classification scheme, he divided learning knowledge into outcome into verbal information, as we just discussed, which is known as the declarative knowledge, then intellectual skills, which are known as the procedural knowledge, then cognitive strategies, how and when to use information and the knowledge collected, then motor skills and attitudes. What are motor skills? That means whatever skills you have acquired which tell you about the physical movements in the organization. So if you have learned about, let's say, from where the information comes, who provides the information to the manager, who provide, then manager provides the information to whom, then the information passes to whom. If you have gathered learning about your organization, that means how information is passed or moved on, then who goes to whom, who is the, the one who's have authority over me, who are my superior, who are my subordinate, how do I need to behave, how do I need to move in the organization. That kind of skills are called the motor skills. And then attitudes, that means anything you have acquired, anything that you have learned that leads to change in your internal or mental well-being. So you're behaving in a particular manner because you have learned something. So if you have any change in your personality, your perception, or your attitude towards anything in the organization, those changes or outcomes are known as attitudes. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
so
Yes,
according
ma'am.
to, okay, according to Krieger, Ford, and Salis classification scheme, cognitive outcome is that of a learning skill based and then affective. So what is cognitive? They consider verbal knowledge, knowledge organization, and cognitive strategies, all three of them in cognitive. So if you are acquiring any knowledge, then that means you will further have the ability to use that knowledge. So knowledge organization and cognitive strategies all are a part of cognitive knowledge that you have acquired. Then skill based. So if you have learned to drive a vehicle, or if you have learned to use a machinery, or whatever you have learned in an organization that will help you to perform your activities, is known as technical and skill based knowledge. And then affective, which affect your attitudinal and motivational factors, right? Okay, Manpreet.
रात में को मुझे फोन करा करियो आज पहले बाहर आ
Then we have affective, attitudinal, and motivational skills, which help us to change our perception, our goals, and which lead to our self orientation, self efficacy, and formation of new objectives for us. So, if any learning has led us to advancement or improvement in our goals, then that type of learning outcome is known as affective learning outcome. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Then we have, what are the stages of learning and resource allocation theory? So learning and acquisition of new skills occur over a period of time and is a meaningful sequence which is done in stages. So if I say that if I have learned and acquired a knowledge, that doesn't happen over time. That doesn't happen overnight. It happens in a time frame, over a period of time, in some kind of a sequence that involves some stages. Who was the one who made me learn? What was the material he used? How did I learn those skills? Where am I going to apply those knowledge I have acquired? So learning or acquiring of new skill occurs over a period of time and in meaningful sequence with number of stages involved to them. So a theory was developed by John Anderson, which is called the adaptive character of thought theory, or the ACT, which describes the learning process and its three stages, right? So learning is a skill or acquiring of knowledge over a period of time. So what are according to ACT theory, learning takes place in three stages that are known as declarative knowledge, knowledge compilation, and procedural knowledge or proceduralization. So a related theory called the resource allocation theory explains how people learn during each of the stages as a function of the resource required to learn a new task. So if you want to acquire a new task, learn a new task, you need to go through three stages. First is the declarative knowledge, then knowledge compilation, and then procedural knowledge. So in order to understand these three stages, we first need to know what is the resource allocation theory. According to the resource allocation theory, individuals possess limited cognitive resources that can be used to learn a new task. So if you are talking about employees of organizations, then it is assumed by the resource allocation theory that the employees do not have those adequate and appropriate cognitive skills. That means skills to use their brain to implement the information they have. So they just say that the information is passed on by the managers, but the employee should have cognitive knowledge to understand that information and use it when the need arises, right? So according to resource allocation theory, individuals possess just a limited cognitive resources. So performance of a new task is determined by the individual differences in attentional and cognitive resources. So if, let's say, I am making Ashwarya and Akshat read something in the class, or I am passing on some information to both of them. Now, how much attention you both are paying and what are the cognitive responses you both have? What is your intellectual level? What is your response to interpreting from the information I am providing you? It is going to justify your performance, right? So if I have told both of you, this is the way you have to, do your quiz. Now I have told both of you, but at that point of time, how much attention were you paying, and how much did you learn by using that information, you relating that information with other things? So that will lead to the performance of both of you. Then the requirement of the task and self-regulatory activities. Also, if I'm passing on some information and if you're acquiring that information from you, how complex that task is or how complex that information is, right? So that leads to self-regulatory act. Also the self-regulatory activities, that means how well you monitor yourself, how well you evaluate the information used to allocate attention across tasks, right? So according to resource allocation theory, people just have limited cognitive resources, and how well they perform in an organization depends upon how complex is the task, how much attention they have paid, what are the self-regulatory activities they have in their mindset, and what are the cognitive resources that are available for them to understand the information. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So as we will see, the amount of cognitive resources an individual can allocate to a learning a new task varies across three stages that we'll read later. So the first stage of learning is called the declarative stage. So we've already done that in the previous slides. It involves the learning of knowledge, facts, and information. For example, think of what it was like when you learned how to drive a car. So at first you acquired a great deal of information as to what to do when you get into the car, how to start the car, put it in a gear, how to change gears if it's a standard shift, and so on. So these pieces or units of information are called chunks of declarative knowledge. Is that okay? So we have the first stage of learning processes. First, we're going to acquire the declarative knowledge about the skill we want to implement, then or acquire. Then we're going to compile the knowledge. That means learning, integrating tasks into sequences, and performance, that means fragmented and piecemeal. So what we're trying to do here is, now once we have acquired the knowledge, now we are integrating the knowledge into sequences, that this I'm going to use in step 1, this I'm going to use in step 2, this I'm going to use in step 3. So how well I implement or how well I compile the knowledge that I have collected will lead to third type of my procedure, that is procedural knowledge. So now you have gathered all the information, you have integrated and compiled that information. Now you will have task mastery. So now you will be able to perform that task on machinery or however you are supposed to do in the organization. Is that okay? So first stage of learning is you are acquiring the declarative knowledge, then you are compiling the knowledge, then you are making procedures to implement that knowledge in the practical form. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Randeep, read the slide learning styles.
An important aspect of learning is the way in which people learn. According to David Kolb, individuals differ in how they prefer to learn their learning styles. A learning style is the way in which an individual gathers information and process and act on it during the learning process. Table 3.3 shows Kolb's learning styles and the learning modes on which they are based. Learning models involve the way people gather information, can create experience or CE, and abstract conceptualization or AC, and the way people process or evaluate information, active experimentation or AE, and reflective observation or RO. It is the combination of these learning modes, the way a person gathers information and the way a person processes information, that results in a learning style.
So what did we come to know till now is what is learning, right? And what are the outcomes of learning and what are the stages of learning, right? Now we are going to learn about what are the various styles of learning. So if there are, let's say, 44 of us in the class, so everyone has different learning styles. And what is your learning style? It is the way how you gather information, how do you process your information, and how do you act on the information in the learning process, right? So everybody has different type of learning styles and different type of learning modes. Learning modes is how do you gather, do you want to gather concrete information or concrete experience regarding the thing you want information or you want abstract conceptualization, that I don't want concrete or exact information, I just want to know like why vaguely what is this all about, or the way people process or evaluate information. So if I process an information and evaluate it, either I will do active experimentation or I will do reflective observation. So if I am actively experimenting, then I'm going to use that in person, on me, on my family member, or my subordinate. I'm going to see the result. And if I'm the one who just believes in reflective observation. So I have the information. I'm now going to see how others use this information, or I'm just going to not experiment, but I'm going to talk about that information on the basis of observation. So it is a combination of these learning modes. What do you select? You select CE and AE, or you select AC or RO. So learning style, what is your learning style? It depends on these learning modes or the combination of these learning modes. So whatever combination you choose, that results in a learning style. Is that okay? Any confusion with anything?
No, ma'am.
So these are some sort of a learning style. Who is going to read that?
I can read that for you.
Okay, well.
Yes. So learning styles. First is converging, and learning modes are abstract, conceptualization and active experimentation, meaning thinking and doing. The second one is diverging learning modes, concrete, experience and reflective observation, meaning feeling and watching. Third one is assimilating, abstract conceptualization and reflective observation, that means thinking and watching. The final one is accommodating, means concrete experience and active experimentation, meaning feeling and doing.
So if you combine thinking, doing, feeling, watching in different combinations, that will lead to the style of learning you have. So if you think about something and do it in person, then you are you are supposed to have a converging type of a learning style. That means you have an absurd concept in your mind, and in order to see if that absurd concept is real or can it happen, then what you're doing is you are experimenting what you're thinking. Okay, so when you experiment whatever you're thinking, you want to try and do it, that means you are converging. Is that okay? So if you're thinking and doing something, that means you have a converging type of a learning style, right? Then if you are feeling something and you want to just observe that whatever you're feeling, if that is correct or not, then what you're doing here is you are concrete experience. So you're experiencing something. If you are experiencing some negative vibes in an organization, if you're working in a department in an organization and you feel some negative vibes that certain people are not behaving like they were earlier, or there is some sort of change that you are experiencing, and you just, rather than doing something about it, rather than talking to somebody about it, you are just watching, then that means you have a diverging type of a learning style, right? And if you are thinking and watching, that means you're thinking about it and just watching and not doing anything about it, then you have an assimilating type of a learning style. Abstract conceptualization and reflective observation. So you have something in your mind, but you're not putting that into action and you just want to wait and observe. So you have an assimilating type of a learning style. Then we have accommodating. So you're feeling something and you are doing. So concrete experience. So when you felt that people of your group are neglecting you and you went and talked about it to the manager, that means you have an accommodating type of a learning style, concrete experience and active experimentation. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, is it possible that one can have maybe two or three
Yes,
rather
you
than
can.
a single?
Yes. But that
Maybe due
depends.
to the situation of a
Yes,
thing.
so it depends on situation to situation, whatever you are in. If you're comfortable with just thinking and watching, then at that particular time you are adopting assimilating learning style. And then sometimes situations in organizations, they become in a way that if you're feeling something, you immediately need to take action about it. Then at that particular point of time, you are adopting accommodating as a learning style. So it depends on whatever personality you have. Some people, they do not tend to change in life. They tend to have one particular learning style only, right? Sometimes when you have to learn, you don't need to experiment. So you are learning something, that thing is very easy. When you're supposed to do it, you will do it rather than experimenting and wasting time. But there are people who want to experiment every time, see whatever they're thinking is correct. So there are different type of managers, and depending on what personality they have, they tend to adopt one type of a learning style. But we as employees, when we are a part of an organization, because we start from scratch, we tend to develop new styles by either looking at our managers or our friends, how they are doing, what they are doing. And if we believe that, okay, I have an assimilating type of a learning style, which is wrong, which is not doing any good to me, so I should leave this because I have seen some person having converging learning style and it benefits him, so we
Right.
tend to adopt it. according to our observation level. Okay, Rishabh?
Yes, I guess these four are given like that as well in the meaning section, that thinking and doing.